I want to start with the Antonio Brown stuff, Jason. So I guess my first question is, what happened? Because I went to bed at 10. I woke up at 4, and it felt like Antonio Brown got or did not get traded twice during those 6 hours.
Well, the hours you were asleep, actually, in terms of, like, football stuff, nothing happened. Honestly, I mean, I guess word of a dead trade got out and sort of was presented as real time when, in fact, by the point it got out, there was no trade to be had because the player wasn't going to go to Buffalo, and it was no point continuing the dialogue, and both teams had gone their separate ways. So he didn't miss anything.
Any idea
That's the good news, right?
Yeah, well, any idea, Jay, what the trade compensation would have been? I've seen a couple people or rumors that maybe they were going to swap first-round picks and then some.
I'm not sure. I don't want to, I don't want to say if I don't know. I mean, I'd heard they were pretty far down the road, and that the Steelers were comfortable with what they thought they might be able to get, but it was more hypothetical than anything else because the player by that point had made it clear he wasn't going to report, and the Bills didn't want the aggravation. And, it wasn't even like a contractual thing. I mean, they had never even reached a point where the agent was negotiating anything with the Bills because there's nothing to negotiate because he doesn't want to play there, and he's telling me he won't play there. So, the teams moved on.
So we're talking with Jason La Canfora, CBS Sports NFL insider. So, Jason, 2 weeks ago, Kevin Colbert said that Antonio Brown would not have any say in where he gets traded. I mean, it sounds like he does.
Well, I mean, the one thing he could always do is take his ball and go home, right? And say, I refuse to report and, come after me, find me, whatever. So I guess the one card you can always play is I'm retiring, I'm not showing, have fun without me card. Which you're right, it does. It doesn't affect the negotiations, but it will scuttle them real quick if the team just loses interest and says I don't want to play that game with you either. And that's what happened here. I think what Kevin was alluding to was the fact that this player's signed a record contract at the time, not that long ago, and has 3 years remaining. And, we're not going to give him permission to seek a trade. We're not going to run this through the agent and let him bring a deal back to us. We're going to do what we have to do for our football team, and then we're going to trade him. And if he wants to get, more money somewhere else, that's between him and that other team. And obviously in this case, it never even got to that stage because apparently Buffalo's not on his list. I mean, if you're the Steelers right now, you've got to be having flashbacks to last fall at the trade deadline, right? When they're trying to trade Le'Veon Bell, who says, I don't ever want to play for you, but then his agent's calling teams saying, don't trade for him because we're not going to report. So it's like, is there a part of both of their subconscious that really still wants to be in Pittsburgh? And at this point, people in that building are wondering, well, they've got nothing really cooking with any other teams right now. There's nothing they've had conversations here and there, but there's nothing ongoing. And then B, they're wondering, like, is this just some kind of weird subterfuge to eventually try to get more money out of us to stay here? Because, where does he want to go? Like it's pretty bizarre.
Well, and I think that's a good point because it's like, okay, well, the other teams that were rumored to be interested, like the Raiders and Redskins, is he doing cartwheels to go to those places? And he has complained and said he wanted to be out of there. So they came up with a trade to get him out of there. And then he said he wouldn't report. So, I mean, the Steelers could say, hey, well, you got to stay with us now. You can't complain. You said you wanted out. We got you out, but you didn't want to go. So that'll be very interesting to see how that ends up unfolding.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.